Hey guys, what is up? TheHarderYouBall bringing you a Photoshop tutorial on making tags. So, jumping right into it, you're going to want to go into Photoshop, go to File, New, and 400 by 150 is the dimensions I like to use. They can vary. 400 by 150, 400 by 200. It's that's about the size you're going to want it. But they can vary in size, it just has to be sort of small. Anyway, this is going to be a video on the very basics of tag making, and it's probably going to be in two parts, because this is like the third time I've been recording it since I went over. Anyway, right here are some examples of tags I've made over a span of whatever, how long I've been making tags. Anyway, a tag is basically has a character of some sort and has a background that's been like manipulated, as well as the character is probably been manipulated as well. And it's basically just a small piece of art, just little. But yeah, that's an example of a tag. The things you're gonna want to need. First thing you're going to need is Fractals. Go Google Fractals and guarantee you find thousands and thousands of packs. This is a pack I have. This kind of pack is called Space Fractals, which are cool because they are like nebulas in space and stuff. But you can use these to make art, quote unquote. But they're mainly used for backgrounds, and I will go into that in a second, but you're going to want a couple fractal packs. Have a good variety of stuff. The next thing you're going to want to need is, well, you're not going to have to need it. That's what you basically have to have is fractals for the most part, unless you're doing something wacky. Another thing I like to have are textures. Textures normally go on like the bottom layer, they can go just about anywhere. They look a bit like this, and it's good to have these because they apply to much more than just tags, like logo design stuff. Textures are a must-have. So I would go and get yourself some texture packs. Can't go wrong. Okay, and the last thing is C4Ds. C4Ds are sort of like fractals, same concept, except they're most likely 3D. This one's pretty dark, you can't see, but they're 3D like this one. I don't know, why is it black? But I don't know, you might be able to see it's 3D. I have no clue. Okay, enough of that. And I will go over C4Ds because I use those as well. Alright, jumping in... No, I don't want to see. Alright, jumping into your document. Alright, so, in your document, you're... Okay. Alright, I don't have this planned out very well. It's a Tuesday. Yeah. Alright, so the first thing I did is I dragged in a texture fractal type thing. And simply by just dragging it in like that. And this is going to be the basis of my image, so everything on my image is going to be built off of that. The next thing you're going to want to drag in is your render. That is going to be my render, because I like him, he looks cool, I think. I don't know. But go ahead and place him somewhere in your image, typically not in the center. There's something called the rule of threes. You can deal with that and read more about it, but it basically says don't place him in the center. Divide your piece into 3 parts, which will be like right here, right here, right here. Don't use the center one, but use this one. So those are going to be your 2 focal points, basically right here, or like right there. Right there, right there. Alright. So you can look more at that on your own. Alright. So, the next thing you want to think about is the colors, the color scheme. It's good to have about 2 colors. Not too much more. I wouldn't go with 1 unless you have something planned out that's pretty good. But, performance is slow. That's not good. Alright. But I'm going to go with red and blue. So that's what was going through my mind when I made this piece. Alright, so first thing I applied, this is going to be the blue side, but the first thing I applied was a C4D, which, whoops, I gotta grab it. Looks something like this. This one looks pretty wacky down here, but I'm just going to use this end. And since this is going to be the blue side, and this is red, you're going to have to change that. The way you do that is by going here. In this case, I'm going to be using hue saturation, which is going to be creating this layer here, and this thing will pop up. From there, you can adjust your hue saturation, that, make it look funky. Now what happened? Okay. Right. Next thing I put in was a red fractal, which this side's going to be red, this side's going to be blue. And that's going to actually give us a problem. So the way I solved that is I applied an adjustment layer, which is blue, and then I duplicated this fractal right here, which showed up just about right there. And when I duplicated it, it was red because it didn't have this layer on it yet. And since I placed it on top, it makes this entire thing red. And if I just went with an eraser and erased it, it like erases the blue and leaves behind the red. Sort of an interesting thing. See how? Or you can just take a brush and run over the brush, which I actually think that's what I did. I'm gonna see, painting in blue. But yeah, you get the point. Next thing I added was some fractals. So this is going to be our first time working with fractals. When you drag your fractal in, it's going to look like this. It's going to be this black square thing. Once again, you can rearrange it, make it whatever. But it's going to be all black. Probably. That's what most space fractals are like. What it is I erased this little area I didn't want, and I set the blending mode, is that what it's called? I don't know. We'll call it blending mode, to linear dodge, which takes away the black but leaves this. There's plenty of other things you can play around with there, but that's what we're going to be using as of right now. Okay, the next thing I added was another fractal, which sort of gives some light to all this, which is neat. Alright, enough of that. Okay, and then after that I added another fractal for this side, giving it like a red type feel. So now you see our piece starting to come to life here. And this is actually where I'm stop part 1, my bad. And we're going to continue on to part 2 in the next video. So stay tuned, everyone.